What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we've got another Metal Robots review. We're going to be taking a look at the Metal Robot Spirits Gundam Marchosias. So we're going to be taking a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside. So first, we've got the manual in typical Robots Spirits fashion. So we've got a paper manual there. We've got the Marchosias here. Look like you've got his sword there. That's possibly the shield part there. You've got a plethora of hands there. Let's see what else we've got. We've got the backpack there, so it looks pretty good. You've got your eye bleeding effect part there, so you've got that. So that looks pretty good. We've also got the cape. So the cape looks good, and you've got the stand. So pretty usual release. So we'll put him all together and then see what he looks like. So let's take a look at this Gundam Marchosias. Now, first things first, I think that this looks spectacular. Now, you guys know that I'm not really that much of a fan of the Iron Blooded Orphans full suit design style. It's just not really my personal favorite, but I know that once I saw this, I thought that this one looked really, really good. And I do like the details that they have on here. What I will say first off is that I can already tell I'm gonna have a problem with the feet just because of how this stands. You have this wide gap here in the center and you can't really move the back all that much. But so I've already had him fall down on numerous occasions just trying to kind of get him up here. So, but I do like the cape. It does look like you do have a wire in the cape, so that will kind of float in the wind. So I expect to see that a lot with the upcoming Barbatos, the metal build version, so it'll probably be pretty close to the same. But I think overall, as far as the detail and everything like that, I think it looks spectacular. I really do. It looks amazing. So you can see the detail here in the pistons here for the midsection. So looks really, really good. For the head, you do have way up. So you've got way up, you've got way down. So it goes all the way down. You do have a little bit of left to right, not a ton though. It's more, he's got like this neck rock in the back. Let's see if we can look at that. I don't know if you can even see that, but there's a neck rock right here. And so that's what's lifting his head all the way forward like that. So I like that, but because of these two sides, you're probably not gonna get a lot of side to side there. So you do have that. Can you spin 360? I would say no, you get about 45 on both sides. You could maybe possibly try to lift that up and out, and then you can get it kind of like that. So he does have 360, but you got to get it over the side parts there. For the shoulder, his arms will go about shoulder's length. You could probably get that a little bit higher if you wanted to, so you can get it about that. It does have a lot of in, so you can go all the way in like that. You've got back, so you've got a lot of back there. So pretty good. Of course, this will move as well. And this one is stationary in here, and it will not open up at the flaps there. For the bicep, it will look like it can go 360. He's just got a lot of stuff here. So just be careful. You're gonna have to get all this stuff out of the way. Let's see if I can push this back in. So he will get 360 on the bicep. It is a little tight though, so I probably wouldn't try to do that too often. And then let's take a look at the elbow. So he can bend the elbow pretty decently there. So he does have a hinge here, and he's got this piston here. So very interesting on the elbow. For the arm, no movement really on the forearm. So, but he does have this gimmick on the back here. So he's kind of got this claw gimmick. So this can actually take and move this way. So he's got claws there. You can also take it and spin it. And it's got like this guard here for his hand. It's got that as well. So it's like on this hinge here. So you can spin that either way, but you do have that on the gauntlet. And then for the wrist, he does have up and down. So he's got a pretty wide range of movement there. He's got a ball joint there. It will go in a little bit. It's more the hand, but you do have that. This will slightly move to up here as well when you're moving that. So you can get wide range of movement on the hand. For the midsection and torso, let's see what he's got here. So he can go way in like that. So he's got that. He can go up or back. So he can go way back. That might be the best that I've seen thus far. So he's got that. Does he have any side to side? He's got a little bit. Of course, what it is that the pistons are not really moving like that. So they don't work like actual pistons, but it's really this joint here at the bottom that's kind of doing all the work. You can spin this. Of course, you're gonna have to get everything out of the way, but you can spin it about 90 degrees. I probably wouldn't go more than that without risking breaking it. So he does have that. So pretty interesting movement there. And it's all coming from the bottom here. And I don't even know if you can see it. Let's go to the back so we can take a look at it, how that actually works. So what it is you've got this die cast piece here, and it looks like it's going into this plug. So it's probably like a cast ball joint almost, it looks like. And so that's really where all the range is coming from. And that's how that can move down and back as well. So very interesting there, especially with this being my, oh, it looks like the pistons do work. Look at that. All right, so as you move it to the side, that one will go in. And then when you move it to the other side, that one will go in. It could just be a little stiff because it's new, but it looks like the pistons do work. So very interesting there. And then let's take a look at the wings here. So let's go ahead and go to the back. Now he has these like two parts here that look almost like knives. So that's pretty interesting, but it will go down, it will go up. You do have in and you do have out. So you've got quite a bit of range of movement there. And then of course you have the extension for the sub arms there. We'll get into that here in another segment, but that's what you've got for the wings. And then for the front skirt, it looks like you do have a little bit of movement there on the skirt. It can go out a little ways on both sides and it can go up a little ways, but I think just due to the design and the fact that this top piece is hitting this piston, you can not really move it up higher than that. So you've got that. For the side skirts, he really just has these two rail cannons. So you can move these as well. And it's also got like the sword pieces, but we'll go through that here in a little bit. But you do have like a rail cannon there. So he's got those on the sides. And then let's take a look at the back. For the back skirt, that one does not move, doesn't look like it. So that's what you've got for the midsection. Now for the thigh, let's see if we can move this in. So it looks like it will move in about 45 degrees. I wouldn't actually chance that any more than that. And you can move it to about 90. A little bit more than 90 degrees on the back. It also has a drop down mechanism here. I can actually see that moving in there. And I don't even know if you can see that, but it does have a drop down mechanism on the legs. So you can drop it down like that. Let's take a look at how high this can go up. So you've got about 90 degrees there. And that is with the drop down. So, but the thing is, I think that the skirt is kind of getting in the way a little bit. So it possibly could go higher, but just due to how that skirt is hitting the top of the abdomen there, it won't allow you to go too much higher than that. For the knee, let's see what we've got there. So we've got a decent knee bend. So it's slightly better than an L, but it's a very, very wide B. So I would kind of like to see a little bit more on that, but you do have a lot of good detailing here as far as piston work and metal pieces and stuff like that. So it looks really, really sound. And now for the feet. This part here, it almost looks like a shin guard, but it doesn't really move all that much, but you can point the feet down. So you can move them down all the way. He's got a really good ankle rock. So he's got side to side on the ankle rock. The back piece doesn't really move independently of the front piece. It just kind of moves together with it. So, and you can see it's kind of like in this hinge here part. So that's all die cast here and here on the foot. So that's what we have for articulation. I would say overall, it's pretty good, especially given the uniqueness of its design. I was impressed with the midsection as far as the pistons working and things of that nature. I did like that. I would say that really, it's not really lacking any articulation outside of maybe like a little bit in the arms just because of the uniqueness of the design. The gauntlet kind of gets in the way of, you know, moving the forearm and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not really much here that I think is bad as far as the articulation goes. So now let's take a look at the sub arms real quick. Now the uniqueness about the Marchosias is that he has a lot of sub arms. So he has a sub arm here in the back. So you can take this and fold this out. So that will really get really long here. And then you can take this sword piece out like that. And then this one, it looks like it will rotate. So like you can have that out like that. So I think that that's very unique. Of course, that's going to make it very, very wide, but you can do that with the sub arms And then let's go ahead and do that with this other one as well. So we can take that and then have that out, and then we can rotate this out that way. So I think that that's pretty interesting. And then he also has it on the rail guns as well. So what you will do, let's go ahead and lift this arm up. And then this is the rail gun here, trying to get all this stuff out of the way here. And then you can pull this out like this. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and have it out like this. And then this part here will rotate. So you can rotate that out this way. But you can actually have that out that way like that. And then this one will rotate as well. So you can kind of have them out this way. And then let's do this last one here. So we can flip this up. That just pops out that way. And then you can rotate. Let's go ahead and rotate. Now, you do want to be careful when you're rotating these because the ball joint that connects to the sides that acts as a side skirt is not die cast, it's plastic. So if you bend it in the wrong direction or something like that, you can end up snapping that, and you definitely don't want to do that. So you can kind of have it out like this. So you've got that. So I think that that's a pretty interesting gimmick to have the sub arms that are out like that. And so you can do a lot with it. Now because this is from Erd Hunt, so that's like the video game, and they showed a small clip that had all of his sub arms out like this. So I do think that that is quite interesting. And then of course, if you want to have the gauntlets out, you can do that as well. But I think it's a very interesting gimmick as far as the sub arms are concerned. So here we have the Gundam Marchosias in his dynamic pose. I think that this looks really, really good. He has his, they call this the Bastard Mace. I think that that's pretty funny, but he's got that. He's got his limiters released or whatever. Let's just consider it like a hyper mode in the Iron Blooded Orphans world. So he's got that. That looks really, really awesome. I do like the fact that the cape, let's go ahead and look at that cape real quick. You can kind of fold that because what it has is it has a wire that kind of goes all the way throughout here, especially here, here, and it goes all the way back up. And so you can really bend that to your will. So I do like that. I wanted to put him on a stand just to see how he looks with it on. Now, the thing about these Metal Robot Spirit stands, I don't think that they go up super high like they do in metal builds. So I wanted to keep him relatively low to the ground. Now, he does have two connection pieces. This piece that goes to the back of his backpack, I like that more than the one that goes up in around the codpiece area. I don't like this type of connection. Number one, it doesn't fit in there all that well. At least I didn't think so. And it makes him a little wobbly, but with this one, I think that that one is really good. He just had a cover on there, so you just take the cover off and then you're able to find that connection piece. So I think that it looks really, really good. Now, the interesting thing about the Bastard Mace as well is that if you pull this off, he actually has a sword hidden underneath it. So that is very interesting. So I do like that. So that's more of a traditional sword. The thing about the Bastard Mace is that this puts a lot of strain on his wrist. And even though you do have support pieces that can prop those up, I like to have mine free flowing. So I don't necessarily like to have a lot of extensions to keep like the arms up and stuff like that. So he can hold it, but if you mess with it too much, his wrist won't be able to handle the strain. It'll just kind of droop down. So just be cognizant of that. So let's go ahead and put that back on there. So he's kind of got it like that. And then, you know, if you mess with it too much, it'll just kind of, you know, flop around. Now, I will say that when you are handling him, you do want to be cognizant of the fact that I did see a little bit of chipping when I was trying to get him posed. So that is something I may be a little concerned about, especially as time goes on, even though it's not in any major areas, and the chipping looked like it was roughly around the knee area here. So just be cognizant of that as well. But I think overall, this looks amazing. I really like this pose as well. Having the light, I always call it light bleed, but you know, having that come out. Now these are relatively long and this is one piece. So really all you have to do is slide this off. You just have to grab his head here. And let's see if we can do this on camera. And let's do it without trying to break it here. But you can slide this off. Now the thing about this Marchosias is he has a lot of sharp edges on him. So when you're trying to handle him, you're gonna be poking yourself a lot trying to mess with him. So I'm trying to do this behind the camera. There we go. So it kind of just slides off there and he's got his center connection piece there. And then this is the old one. So if you want to take that off, you can put this one on and that one will just kind of slide back into place as well. So you can have it like that too. So I think that that is amazing. He looks spectacular. I think that this is a very awesome design, even though I'm not really into the Iron Blooded Orphan design aesthetic for Gundams, but I think that this one is probably one of the coolest ones that I've seen. And I really think that it looks awesome. So last thoughts on this guy, the Gundam Marchosias. Now, I think that this is a spectacular design. It's very unique. To me, it takes something like the Barbatos and kind of makes it a little bit more, I don't know, it's got a little bit more oomph to it. That's really the only way that I can describe it. So I do like this design a lot. I think that the cape puts it over the top. Capes are very cool. It looks more like a knight or something like that. And I think that it looks amazing. Now, the only drawbacks that I really have for this Gundam Marchosias is I have noticed some paint chipping, especially when you start to do some dynamic posing with him, which is a little strange. I'm not used to seeing paint chipping, especially on Metal Robot Spirits or metal builds. I haven't seen a lot of paint chipping, but to me, it had enough paint chipping that I thought it was noticeable. So anytime I try to move joints or anything like that, I would just see like these little flakes. So that is something that you do want to be aware of if you are thinking about getting this guy. His articulation, I think, is pretty good. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more articulation in the knees. And then you guys know my ongoing battle with feet problems. And with this guy, just because of the design of his feet, I found it a little bit harder to get him to stand correctly. A lot of times he's kind of doing like a Michael Jackson lean here a little bit, just because of the fact that it's hard to find a kind of equilibrium when it comes to stationing his feet. So that's why I would probably prefer to have him up on a stand. I think that his weapons are good, the Bastard Mace, and then having a sword in the inside of that, I think is great, especially with the light effects for this Marchosias. I think that that is really cool. I know that that one, that the lighting effects, they do have that with the Barbatos as well, especially I think like the Lupus and the Lupus Rex, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a little while since I've seen IBO, but I think overall I'm really impressed with it. And out of 10, I would give this guy a solid 9. I would say this is probably my second favorite Metal Robot Spirits outside of the Destiny. To me, the Destiny was just so good. But this one, especially considering that I'm not necessarily a fan of the Iron Blooded Orphans design aesthetic when it comes to Gundams, I'm actually very surprised by this one. And even though it's not necessarily my favorite design as far as in all of Gundam, but I think especially for IBO, this is probably one of the better looking ones. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, send this one out to all of the Gundam Marchosias fans, all of the Gundam Iron Blooded Orphan fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.